does make you wonder, like, did I just burn 20 grand, and to what end? In the last 3 years, I've been working on a pretty big, really intimidating and really difficult project. And probably, I mean, you might have seen the videos of doing a house renovation in Catalonia. Probably if you take the house renovation, multiply it by 3, and we've got a similar amount of work to the project that I've just completed. I think my story, especially in relation to this YouTube channel, is not particularly unfamiliar when you look at the general journeys of van life YouTubers. Often they start with a van life and then they get some success on YouTube or doing other business things online, and then they buy some land somewhere, a cabin in the woods, a house in the mountains. They do work to that project, they vlog that, and then what? And this video is about the then what part of my story, because it's not really been documented much on YouTube. I've put almost nothing out about the project I've been working on for the last 3 years. It's been a really intense, intimidating, big project, and it's really stretched me. It's really pushed me, this project. It's been difficult. Actually, I was working on it during the house renovation. When I had like a winter break away from the house, I was working on it a lot then. When I finished building my house, I ended up with tendonitis on both sides of both elbows from basically the last 8 months of work, which was all day, basically every day, working with tools, picking things up. It was just a bit too much. So going back to climbing wasn't really an option, and I just ended up focusing all of my time on this new project, which has been a book, and it's a book on ideas and ideology, which I'll talk more about in a bit. So as a sort of rest between riding, I've been developing crags as a kind of rest activity. So basically burn my mind out with writing in the morning, then I would just drive up in the afternoon, start developing. So I've been making a few crags here. I've developed a crag kind of over the back there, which was like half developed, so I finished it off. I developed like an entirely new sector down the bottom, so that's like 15, 16 routes with about 6 extensions. And right now I'm here at the top of a new multi-pitch sector. There is like a line which kind of grazes the edge of it, but in the main face there's nothing so far. So I'm gonna put in a probably a 4-pitch route, but it's like 3 to 4 pitch crag, but just kind of depends where you want the anchors. This one's, yeah, it's about 85, 90 meters in length. It's pretty nice, really good quality rock. It's quite nice to develop because I've been climbing for like 20 plus years. So it's really nice to sort of give back, and you can just go, you can do a really good job, you can clean it, you can do a nice job on the bolting, and people love it. So it's quite nice to, yeah, add something back into the climbing community with your contributions. I'm actually going to be doing more of a gardening mission, basically cleaning, brushing, getting the rubbish off the rock, breaking off any loose rock. So I've already like found the route, kind of worked out where it goes. So I've got, you know, garden cutting tools and brushes and things just to basically get the rock clean. And kind of the worst thing to have dangling around your legs. Helmets, really important. So I've just cleaned all the stuff off this like kind of steepish and then into a slab route at the top. Taking off a couple of like sizable blocks, which would have been pretty dangerous if they were left there. But yeah, now that's pretty much ready to bolt. I pre-run it as well, just to make sure that all works and it feels right for where the bolt positions are. Just be on the gree. And that's pretty much the reason why I stopped vlogging. I was vlogging for a number of years up until I finished the house, and then I'm just sitting at a computer day in, day out, and I was working really hard, like long hours, and I was kind of exhausted, and I was sort of, at the end of it, I was sort of burning myself out. So when I was going to do like bolting a crag or anything else, I just had very low motivation. I just couldn't turn the rest activity into work as well. So that's pretty much the main reason why I haven't been like visually on YouTube very much. There's some videos here and there. We did make the van conversion course, which meant building this van, make an entire super detailed course for people to follow to make van conversions easier, and then marketing did the support for that as well. So this book on ideas and ideology actually started kind of more than 10 years ago when I was living in London and I was kind of just trying to feel out what I wanted to do next in my life. And one of the questions that really always kind of got me or really intrigued me is, why do we make the decisions that we make for our lives when there are like almost unlimited other options? And the other one is slightly tangential, but it's kind of thinking about what is like the purpose of art within society, and why is art important? And these two kind of came back to questions of culture, because art can affect culture, or maybe it can affect cultures. That was one thing I wanted to investigate. And the other part was looking at our socialization. So all the ideas and beliefs that we're imbued with as we grow up, which dictate or help to dictate or severely impact our decisions for where we go and the path of our lives. Now, this is interesting on a number of levels, and I believe this is relevant for the people on this channel, because if we want to live an alternative life, if we want to take a deviation in the path of normal, if we want to live differently, then we have to start off by thinking differently. We have to reassess the norms that we've grown up with. We have to think about why we can't do something different, what stops us from doing these things. And a lot of this is to do with the ideas we hold, and the ideas we hold have a lot to do with our culture. So this theme went on a bit of a winding path, and I started to look at, okay, how do ideas and ideology work? How can we break them down? How can we look at change? How long do ideas take to change? How do forms of art, so film, music, literature, how do they affect the ideas of the culture? And what is happening with the fast ideological change and the polarization of society, and is there a relation between that? And in the end, it became a book, which many times, it felt like such a terrible decision, because for 2 years, the main 2 years of working on it, although it's been like a 5-year project, there was 2 years where pretty much all I did was 12 to 15 hour days researching, writing, rewriting. And my process essentially was, to begin with, I did a first draft, I had a structure editor, then I brought in some academic support to help me structure my thoughts, help ensure that I was being rigorous in my approach. Then I hired an editor and then an academic advisor who gave me some more focused advice. I wrote some papers, presented them at academic conferences. Near the end of the book, I had to wait for a few months for Chris, my final editor, to do the big run through. We cut it down from like 110,000 words down to 85. So he did an amazing job at like kind of getting the book into a better place for actual readers. So I basically did a quick reno on my basement. That was an arduous 10 weeks. Basically involved posting 10-ton of concrete mix through a hole in the wall, mixing up inside the house, putting down a new concrete slab with, waterproof lining, changing new structural wall, new windows, doors, floors, tiled, underfloor heating, new bathroom, little bedroom, and I'm really happy with the result. And like I said, eventually I'll put a video out. To make sure some of the key concepts, key theories were good, I reached out to hundreds of really senior academics, bounced the ideas off them. Not all of them replied, obviously, but you get a bunch reply. If you email 100, a reply, you have conversations with 3 or 4. And I have Harvard emeritus professors having conversations with me and saying these ideas are pretty good and they're interesting. So at the end of all that, plus some marketing support, I was about 20 grand down. And it does make you wonder, like, did I just burn 20 grand? And to what end? Well, one end is that the book is actually finished. It's available in paperback, audiobook, and ebook, and it's available in most bookstores. The book is called The Ideas That Rule Us, with the subtitle, How Other People's Ideas Rule Our Lives and How to Change It. It takes a broad look at ideas, how they change almost everything about us, and how they shape our lives. One of the interesting things about writing this book has been working on a project for multiple years at significant cost without really knowing like where it's going. Like, why am I doing this, and where am I trying to get to? And that's always been something I've been struggling with this project. I kind of have a feel of what I want to do, but it pretty much solely relies on a feeling that this is something I should be doing, and a feeling that I can and should try and make a difference in like my community, in the society, and that somehow these things matter. And I do believe, like I genuinely believe that this stuff matters. We've grown up in societies which have specific ways of thinking, in different cultures, different ways of thinking, different ways of approaching the world. And not all of them are good for you, and not all of them are good for your society. Now, I'm not someone who says you should burn down all of the ideas your society has, but I think we should understand how profoundly concepts, ideas, and values which are imbued in us from a very young age deeply affect our lives, the decisions we make, and what we can do about it. What can we do as a society, and what can we do as individuals for ourselves to improve our lives by better understanding like where we've come from, like what's affected who we are and what we became. And that's what I'm trying to achieve with this book. So if this stuff is like interesting to you, firstly, stay tuned. I'm going to put out a few videos which are like related to the book, but also more specifically for people looking to live alternative lives. But also follow my new YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff, which will be dedicated to ideas, ideology, political theory, and stuff that relates to what I've written in this book. In between all of that, I also got married. Got married to Day, who is now my wife, a wonderful human being. And yeah, so it's been a busy few years, actually, looking back. Quite a lot has been done, but you've got to keep moving. Making vlogs, I think, was probably a phase of my life, which has come to an end. I'm still interested in making content when it's supporting new projects, but you've got to keep moving. You can't get hung up on one thing forever, or at least I can't. I think some people are better at this sort of monofocus for long periods of time. I'm not. I need to evolve, and genuinely, I really feel the best when I have a project that I'm working on where I kind of don't know where it's going to go. Ideally, probably has a high chance of failure. But it's that like unknowing part, because if you're doing something which is unknowing, you're just charging into the abyss. You have no idea what's going to happen. That's a form of adventure. It might not be scaling a big mountain or going through a jungle trek or whatever, but it's an adventure in a direction when you don't know the outcome and you're on unfamiliar terrain and there's a chance of failure. And I do enjoy that. I think for me that's personally important to have in my life. I hate it when you're getting sick, you got to film some videos and you just feel your voice. Anyway, stay tuned for more. I hope that explained a bit about where I am. If you do buy my book, please leave a review on Amazon, ideally 5-star, super positive. But I am also genuinely interested in your thoughts, your ideas. One thing I really want to do is create like a forum for debate about these things. I think it's super interesting. So if you find it interesting, reach out, and I'd be very genuinely interested to have conversations with people about this. So dump stuff in the comments or join my new channel and engage there.